So thank you again for being here today. I really appreciate it. Do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, before I begin, thank you for letting me be here. And, it's really like an honor to be part of this, as you, I guess you already started your journey, but yeah.
I appreciate that.
My name is Alma Gonzalez. Well, actually, I have a really long name, but we're going to cut it down to Alma Gonzalez.
Let's do the whole thing. Go for it.
My name is Alma Beatriz Gonzalez Serrano.
Okay.
I'm currently an undergrad at NIU, and I was, full-time, so it's kind of really hard, like the whole, when you're a student and everything, like the job and everything else kind of comes with it. I'm a Christian, so that's something that I'm really like proud of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. And where originally are you from?
I come from Chicago.
Chicago?
Yeah.
What
from
I was just gonna say what part.
Honestly, like all over. I really moved a lot when I was a child, but I would say like more of the west side of Chicago. Before I left Chicago, I used to live in Humboldt Park.
Okay.
Kind of like, oh my gosh, it's only been a year and I've already forgot my streets. But yeah, like kind of by where Hermosa Park is as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I used to work by Hermosa Park actually. I worked at a factory when I was around there.
Oh, which one?
It's called Margolin. I hate that I even have to say that name. I hated that place.
Really?
So bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just one of those jobs where it was kind of like stocking like items, like a little tiny Amazon kind of thing, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But so how was it for you growing up? What are kind of some of the things that you grew up that kind of like stuck with you?
I think my mom's advice.
Okay.
I would have to say, yeah.
What's some good advice that your mom was able to give you that kind of helped you through like any challenges? And what were some challenges that you feel that you faced?
I think that growing up, I had a lot of trouble like in school when I think it's hard when like you think a certain way and then, because not that you've been through a lot, but you've seen a lot. And then it's hard for people to kind of really understand where you're coming from or understand other people. So something that she always told me that helped me with that was that it's better to understand than to be understood. And although it can be a little overwhelming, I feel like it really did help a lot because, it prevented me from getting like into arguments that para qué viene al caso, you know what I mean? So it's like it really did help me with understanding other people's perspectives, and if they didn't understand me, that's fine, because I know what I know, and if I try to explain to them where I'm coming from or where other people are coming from, we're gonna feel delusional because we don't feel validated. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. That is pretty big actually. And what was that? What was that thing you said in Spanish again? Para que something?
Oh, I forgot.
I kind of wanted to translate it for the people who aren't Spanish. I'll just try to translate every now and then.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, why pay mind to it? Like why?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like a waste of energy. Of your own energy. Like I hear you. So what was some advice that didn't work for you, if any?
Honestly, I can't remember from the back of my head.
I feel like we never kind of think of that, the advice that didn't work.
And that's really interesting because my mom, she would always tell me like, whatever people tell you, like every time you go through an experience, throw away what isn't beneficial for you and just like observe, like kind of intake whatever does help you out.
So kind of keep like whatever did work.
Yeah.
I hear that.
But I can't really, remember of it.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I can actually share some advice that didn't work for me. So growing up, I bounced around a lot of jobs, and one of them, I was a personal trainer at an export. they just got bought out by LA Fitness, so I think it's totally fine if I talk about it. So there was this specific manager. There was two managers. There was a fitness manager who was in charge of all the personal trainers, meeting the quota, all that stuff. And there was like a general manager of like that oversaw everybody in the gym. So the fitness manager, who was my manager, I was in a pretty good position. I was doing well. I was new to the gym and I was getting a lot of clientele because it's like kind of a sales job where you have to sell yourself to get, clients and stuff. Yeah. So there was a position that opened up to become a exit manager. And exit is like fitness classes, like group classes and stuff. And I thought it'd be a great idea, like, hey, maybe I can challenge myself. I can maybe get into a leadership role. But he would tell me, no, why would you do that? You're going to make a lot more money as a trainer. Like, don't do that. You're going to work more hours, this and that. And the general manager was telling me, yeah, I think you'd be great at it. Give it a shot. But I listened to the fitness manager, who in reality was just trying to keep me there for his own benefit, because I was good at that. So he's like, I'm going to be losing somebody who, So I kind of learned from that experience that once you figure out what you want, I guess not all the time, but listen to yourself before you listen to somebody who doesn't really maybe want what's best for you in the end, so I kind of learned from that, like, stop listening to the outside people who never really, have some sort of experience in what you want to get into. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, that does. Wow, it's crazy to know that people like that are out there,
It is.
But then again, like, everybody always thinks it's, and you know what? I think it's interesting how you say that, because in a way it seemed that he was kind of like looking out for himself, which kind of seemed, like a little, well, it is selfish, right?
Yes.
And in one of my classes that I'm taking right now, it's called Asian American Families.
Oh, okay.
I was learning that like the Americans, we always have like this idea, or our goals are kind of more like what's more beneficial for us, and they don't really look out for like the other people. And I think that was really, I thought that was really interesting, because whenever like Asian people, they make, like when they're adults and they have to make decisions, they first, like they will let themselves down before they have to let the family down, or people who they care about, like even if it's like your employer.
So they look out for their loved ones and people who they care about first before themselves?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And like here, like with us, we're raised as in like, do whatever's best for you, But I feel like from what you're telling me, it kind of seemed like he was looking out for himself without wondering like, oh, where does he want to be in 10 years,
Yeah.
That's
definitely interesting. No, absolutely. And it is crazy that there are people like that out there. I always try to, push people towards what they want to accomplish, like towards their goals. I'm always like, go for it,
Sure.
But you did mention that, you were in Chicago. And I did have a question here for you. What do you find most challenging and most rewarding about life in the city compared to living outside of it? Have you ever lived outside of the city?
Yeah. So I guess now I am.
No.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Well, I think I am, yeah, because I don't really live in where I live right now. It's kind of more like a rancho type of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like rancho in English is like farm land area.
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is, yeah.
Like a ranch, yeah.
But the most rewarding thing, I think I really do miss, I miss the diversity that there is in the city, like going out and just, going to like different type of places. Like if you want to, like if today I want to eat tacos, I can definitely go. Or if I want Puerto Rican food, I'll go for that. And then where I live right now, it's like, it's even far to just go get McDonald's or something, But I guess I would really miss, what I really do find it rewarding over there is that you can just go out and play like main character vibes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
yeah, kind of like go out to eat, just feel yourself, and explore. Yeah, I mean, there's more room for like exploration over there. And I guess it really does depend the way that you look at it. But in the city, there's always something to do, like even if the city, like the palm of your hand or the back of your hand, the saying that what people really say. There's always something new, and that's something that I always did. I would always park my car near school, and then I would just take the train, and then I would just walk, explore the city after doing my homework. And that's not something that I have over here.
I hear that. No, I agree with you. I consider myself more of a city person because, like you said, there's just so much more to do out there. It's much more diverse. I hear that 100%. And then the follow-up question to that, do you feel like your environment kind of affected like your mental or your spiritual health?
Like moving?
Yeah, like moving away from the city.
There's a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
I feel like I think moving is something that I really needed, because while I love the city and stuff, I think I didn't really have time to meditate on the choices that I was making, or just meditate on life, just, because I feel like in the city, you're so used to living on the fast lane that you don't really take a moment to realize, like what's going on around me, and so when I moved to where I am right now, I feel like I gained a lot of peace. And because it's like much more quiet, obviously, and I also did get closer to God because when I was in the city, I knew of God. It's like like people know who God is, right?
Yes.
But people don't really get to know Him on a personal level, And I feel like I gained a lot by moving out of the city. At first, I was like devastated. I really did blame my parents for it because I was like, I had everything already. I loved my job. It wasn't a professional thing, right? But I loved my job. I was finally also liking my school because I didn't like my school either. So like things were falling into place back in Chicago, but then I moved on. I was like, I really gotta go to NIU. Not that there's anything wrong with the school, right? But it's just I never envisioned myself here.
Yeah.
But honestly, I have to say that moving away, I gained a lot, and honestly, it was a blessing. At first, I didn't see it. I think it took me many months to realize that what my parents had done, it was like the best thing that could have happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. Wow. So yeah, moving out here gave you kind of like a whole different perspective. It was kind of like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Like everything just fell into place. Everything happens for a reason. I like to think. Good or bad, we learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it all depends on like the mentality that you have when you're facing those kind of things.
Yeah, that's so true.
I hear that. So you did mention that you were Christian, so I had a couple of questions here for that as well. So how has your Christian faith influenced your mental health and your overall like approach in life?
I feel like before actually like identifying myself as a Christian, my mental health was, like it would always go through it, and I would lie and say that it's like perfect right now because it really isn't. But I think, like I said, I gained a lot of peace, like a lot of tranquility, and it's so much better than it was before. I think that I've learned to trust and realize, I'm not gonna explain this. I guess now I know that I don't have to like any type of worry or whatever whatever it is that I go through. I've learned that it's not for me to carry, like it. I guess in my relationship, like with Jesus, I really did understand, or I was able to realize the gift that He gave us, but in this case, He gave me the gift. Well, He gave me the gift of surrendering all that, casting all these things, like just putting them in His hands,
Okay.
And so, yeah, I guess it's just so much that I want to say, but like I have much more peace.
That's good. Okay, no, I hear you. So are there any specific spiritual practices that kind of help you stay, on a good balance, or like like throughout any challenges that you may face?
I'm gonna answer the first part of the question.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, something that I do is read the Bible, So every morning I do my best to, so something that I was just sharing to my friends yesterday at Bible study is that I started leaving my phone or like my tablet wherever I put my alarm. I'll leave it across the room, and then it forces me that in the morning I have to get up and walk and turn it off, right? That means that once I walk, I can't go back to sleep. So then that gives me the opportunity to just wake up on time, read my Bible for 15 minutes, and then, kind of like pick up on a verse that I read and meditate on it all day. I feel like that really does help me.
Okay.
And then, worshiping God, but really like praising him in the moment. Like sometimes I'll be in my car and I'll be like, man, like it was such a hard day. And, like I just get overwhelmed. So what I do is I just play music, and I remember that he's, that if I go to him, he's going to give me peace, peace that is, what's that thing that they say?
Salvation.
No, peace. It's a type of peace. I always forget this phrase, and they always say it. Peace that surpasses understanding.
Oh wow, that's deep.
Yeah, and so then I'll remember that, and I'm like, no, like I have a father. Obviously I have my dad, my parents, but I have like God, and he's my father, and if I just go to him and I surrender my entire day or everything that I went through, he's going to give me joy, he's going to give me peace. And that really does help my walk with him, because I remember, again, going back to like what I said earlier, that I'm not supposed to be carrying those burdens,
Yeah.
So worshiping, reading the Bible is something that helps me a lot. Were you going to say something?
No, I'm just so interested. I kind of want to know what kind of got you into, taking a step further into your religion.
Mm-hmm. So before I moved to where I'm at right now, I started partying, going to bars and clubs. Like I said, there's a lot to do in Chicago, right?
Absolutely.
But it was really hard for me to, like every weekend, Friday and Saturday, I would do something. I already have something planned out. And I would never be able to turn down a drink. And not to say that I was, like a drunk, because I never really was.
Uh-huh.
But I enjoyed having a fun time. I guess you can say that in a worldly perspective. But then I moved, and then I guess I left my friends behind, and then I was like, wow, like not drinking, like that's pretty good. It's really good for your mental health, to like you don't even have to drink too much and then stop drinking to realize a change in your life, right? So then I reconnected over there with the old church that I was with 10 years ago. And then I was like, wow, I really lived the way that I did back in Chicago. Like the things that I did, the way that I dressed, I felt different. I was like, oh, I don't, like I looked back at it and I was like, why would I ever do that?
Like self-reflection.
And so then,
like self-reflection.
Yeah, I did a lot of that. And so then I was like, no, I want to be different. I know that I'm different, and I knew that what really did confirm that was that this one time last year I went to Sueños, right? It's a festival back in Chicago.
Oh, right.
And so then
a Latin festival, right?
Huh?
A big Latin festival.
Yeah. And so then I was. I'm pretty sure it was on Sunday, and so then I was, it was late at night. I think I don't remember who was singing at the time, but
not Peso Pluma.
No, no. And actually, I think it was Becky G.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Becky G.
There you go.
And so then, I think there was a lady, like a girl behind me, and I looked back and she was like passing out on strangers on some on the arms of some stranger. And I was like, wait, is she getting taken advantage of? And so then I looked back and I'm like, what, like, and it kind of hit me like, I guess I sobered up so fast, and I was like, what am I doing here? What's going on? Like, is this really where I want to be involved? Like, are these the events where I really want to be at? And so then I've never sobered up so fast in my life. Not to say that, again, that I was like drunk or anything, but when you're tipsy, you feel it, and so then I just snapped out of it. And then in my head, I just heard my own voice saying like, Betty, this is not you. Oh, well, I go by Betty with my family. Yeah. So I was like, Betty, this is not you. And so then all of a sudden I just felt so uncomfortable. And I told my friend, I was with two friends at the time. And then the other part of the group was elsewhere. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I'll wait for you over there, like on the other side, but I don't want to be involved here. I just don't feel good. And so then I gave my water to the girl before leaving. They left with me. So I checked up on her and I'm like, hey, is everything okay? Do you know these people? And she was like, no, yeah. This is my friend. And then, my cousin's over there. And I was like, okay, I guess, but she wanted to stay there. And so we left. And then ever since, that's like 3 weeks after, that's why I moved to where I'm at right now. Yeah, like ever since, that's when I told you that I felt different. I was like, no, that's not who I want to be. Like I don't know, like I'm different, And so then, yeah, I guess that was like really the turning point of my entire, like, I want to know Jesus, I want to know what being free feels like,
No, I hear you 100%. That's such a powerful thing to kind of make you want to change who you are. And I get it 100%. And I can only imagine, turning around and seeing something like that. It was powerful enough to kind of like flip that switch in your mind. Like that's pretty intense, really. But it's great that, everything happened the way it did in a way, because now, you're on this way better path. You've done a lot of bettering, which is great. I feel like I went through something similar, but I say this a lot, so I'll just make it quick. Like back then, I was drinking a lot, I was smoking a lot of weed, and then even way before that, I was taking like pills and stuff like that, like Xanax, and I never got into the real hard stuff, like the
acid.
I never wanted to do hallucinogens. That was one thing that was a big no for me. I didn't want to see anything that wasn't already there. That was my thing. Yeah. No, cocaine or anything like that. I never wanted to. Yeah. So it's just a lot of drinking pills and smoking weed. But I let it affect me. I was abusing it a lot every single day. It was bad. Ruined a lot of things, relationships with people. But I also had a turning point where I just felt like I had enough. I didn't want to be that person. Kind of like you were like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to, you were uncomfortable. I felt like I just didn't want to be that person in the mirror anymore. I felt like I could be better. And I decided to just stay strictly sober. And ever since that, I've just been 6 years sober. Just not a single.
Hey, that's awesome.
I appreciate it.
That's really good.
And not a single slip up, not a single beer, no one puffs, nothing like that. So yeah,
it's possible. It's possible. That's really good. I'm really proud of you.
I appreciate it, as I am of you too.
Yeah, thanks. It takes a lot of like accountability, like you got to keep yourself on check, and even when other people aren't doing it, you got to remind yourself like, man, is that what I want to be like? That's not the, not at all,
Absolutely. Yeah. It was also a lot of like willpower, like me willing to stick to this. And a lot of people in the beginning thought, like if you see other people around you doing it, you're going to want to do it. Yeah. I was so like that switch really flipped for me where I did not even let it affect me for a second. Wow. The most I've been tempted, I'll admit, I was tempted to drink at one of my best friend's wedding because all of us were in the limo. There was music, and it was a one-time thing. So hopefully, no, just kidding. So he just got married, and it was all our best friends. And I'm like, I could see how a beer right now would be a good time, but I'm just like, nah, I didn't do it. But besides that, just never even had a hunch to like do it again, kind of thing. But wow. So I also did want to ask you, how are you balancing, your personal life and your spiritual life when everything today kind of feels just so fast paced, like everything's just happening fast. Even though they do say that days are getting slower and days are getting longer, it still feels like we're just in a hurry. Like how are you balancing everything now?
I would be lying if I told you that I have everything balanced out. But I feel like recently I was talking to my mom, and there was a reality check in that.
Really? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, so if I didn't get it together, so the first 3 years of college were fine,
Okay.
I guess I would say I was an average student. And then last year when the whole when I moved, the transition was really hard for me. Because again, I liked my life in Chicago. So then I really didn't know how to make that shift over here. I couldn't adapt for the first couple months. And so I guess I slipped up, I kind of, my grades weren't at where they were supposed to be last year. So then I got a letter from FAFSA saying, like, if you don't get it together, and so then my mom was like, you need to get it together, like, seriously, because we're not helping you out for no reason, we don't got it like that, so you need to stop acting like we got it like that, which I don't think that I act that way. I think it was more like they were really lenient on me, because I was going to school, and I guess from all my siblings, I guess I'm the one who's only really been in college, because my brother did go, and he has, but I guess he just didn't finish. So the fact that I'm even going to school, they're like, wow. But I guess my parents didn't really know that I was like, slipping away on that, having slip offs. But so I guess actually this summer I kind of started taking accountability, and kind of figuring out, what am I going to do? How am I going to balance things out in my life? So I was like, okay, I left the job at the hospital for a lot of reasons, but one of them being that I couldn't attend church the way that I wanted to, and so then that job was obviously affecting my mental health. And so then I was like, okay, in order for me to feel more balanced out, I need to prioritize my spiritual life, right? So go to church, not just to, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be religious. I want to have a relationship with the people, and with God, right? Because it's not about religion. So going to church, but also accepting, allowing them to give me feedback, be open to that, and so that, and then prioritizing school, and not really letting work affect me outside of work. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? So kind of like, if I'm going to be at work, I'm going to be all about work. If I'm going to be at church, then I'm really going to be at church. And then I still haven't figured out how to not involve school, while hanging out with my friends, because I'll hang out with my friends, we'll go to the gym, or recently I went to New York, and while having fun, I was with my computer, figuring things out.
It's commitment.
Yeah. But I would say that I'm working on it right now, but it's kind of really hard to finish, hang out, have a social life, and go to school at the same time. But that's just me. Yeah.
No, I hear you. I mean, it sounds like, you're doing it right. Like you said, when you're at work, it's all work, and it is hard, because we have, like you said, like, we don't got it like that. So we don't have the privilege to just not have to go to work and just focus mainly on school stuff. Not everybody has that. So, for us that have to go to work and, take care of our own mental health, say go out with friends on a weekend or something like that. We can still do that as long as, we bust our behinds to get our academics in order, which is a huge priority for us right now. But it sounds like you're definitely on the right track. It all sounds good, and you're doing things that give you spiritual fulfillment. I feel like a lot of people now, I know I don't enough. I do have a Bible and everything, and there have been times where I open it up, and I've gotten great advice from it, honestly. but that's just one of those things that I don't have right now. Maybe later on, once all the school stuff is over with,
Yeah.
But no, I hear you.
That's a good job, but
Yeah,
you
go
just
for it.
reminded me of something. So I recently saw a post that because when was it? Exactly a year ago. Yeah, because we're in September, right? So exactly a year ago, I was beginning to kind of push my spiritual life to the side, and I'm like, oh well, school is important, But then again, I was not really prioritizing school as much as I should.
Yeah.
But I saw a post that said the busier that you are, the more that you have to be in your quiet time. Your quiet time is like reading the Bible or just like watching a sermon, and so that I took that and kind of applied it to my life. And so the busier that I get, the more time I have to spend with God, and that really helped me a lot. So maybe I can help.
No, I love that.
Yeah,
no.
Or anybody.
I hear that 100%. It's just the last question. So, what advice would you give to people who are actually struggling to? I think you were kind of just saying, the quiet time, like more quiet time, the busier you get. But besides that, like, what other advice? And if so, if that's what's it, like, what advice would you give to people struggling to kind of find that balance between the work life, family, and even like self-care?
Find a balance.
Like what advice would you just give with people struggling out there?
Like struggling, like what do you mean? Like if they're in my situation?
So say somebody out there is putting too much focus on, let's say, work, and they're not spending time with family, and they're missing family events and stuff, and they're not, say, going to get like a breath of fresh air. They're not going to exercise. They're just solely on work mode. And I don't know if you know, but like that stuff can kind of have an effect on you mentally, where it can just exhaust you. It can burn you out, so.
Yeah. What I would say is that time is going to pass by either way. Whether you put that time, whether you invest your time at work or just invest your time with your family, I think that it's important to realize that time's going to pass by either way, and whatever choice you make is going to have a consequence, right? So if you're all about work, then where does that leave your relationships, your network? You know what I mean? So, I mean, money's going to come and go, but time is something you're never going to get back, right?
Sure.
So for me, it's kind of like write down the things that you have to do and scratch them off as you go, like obviously, because work doesn't really care about you, honestly, unless you have your own business. Like the company is not really going to care about you.
They'll just hire somebody else.
Yeah, and like your family or your relationships, people are going to leave, and True. It would suck to kind of lose a person who really wanted the best for you. You're going to miss out on a lot, and it's going to hurt when you see that you could have been somewhere, but you didn't because you were too focused, not really I don't know if obsessive is the right word.
Yeah.
But if you're, I guess, let's just use it in this case, but if you're too obsessed with something, it's really not good at all. I guess I can't really answer this question.
No, you're saying that.
But I think that you really got to keep yourself accountable, like really focus on your relationships, not just in your relationships. Go to the gym, because going to the gym helps almost every area of your life. Because the thing is that when you make change, when you keep yourself accountable, you don't see the change from one day to another. You just got to tell yourself, just one more day, one more day, one more day. And then from the first day to the, let's say, 50th day, you might see some change, and then you'll be like, oh wow, like you'll feel encouraged, because it's like, wow, I was able to kind of like balance things out, and they're not going to be perfect, but I was able to balance things out, and so far I see a change. Let me keep going, that's something that I guess that's the way that I see it, because yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
It makes total sense, really.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Maybe one day later on we can have you on again, because honestly, this is a great talk.
Of course,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Alma.
No, thank you for letting me be here. It's truly an honor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right.
All right.
Awesome.